The city was drowning in the glow of streetlights as I made my way to my uncle's penthouse. A light drizzle coated the glass windows of my car, making the world outside appear hazy. Tonight wasn't just another visit, it felt different. Something about his voice over the phone had unsettled me. "I have something important to discuss," he had said. His tone was firm, unreadable. Uncle Rayhan wasn't just a successful businessman. He was the most influential man in our family. A self-made millionaire, feared and respected in equal measure. Growing up, I had admired his ambition, but there was always something mysterious about him, something hidden beneath his charming smile. As I entered his grand apartment, I was greeted by a butler who silently led me to the dining area. The room was dimly lit, the aroma of expensive cologne mixing with the scent of freshly cooked steak. Uncle Rayhan sat at the head of the long mahogany table, his sharp eyes studying me as I approached. "Sit, nephew," he gestured, pouring himself a glass of wine. I hesitated but took my seat. The air around him was always thick with authority. "How's life treating you?" he asked, his voice casual, yet I could sense something deeper lurking beneath. I sighed. "It's been challenging. Finding a stable job hasn't been easy." He smirked, swirling the wine in his glass. "That's because you're meant for something bigger." I frowned. "What do you mean?" Instead of answering, he slid a black envelope across the table. "Open it," he said. My fingers trembled as I picked it up, curiosity and unease battling within me. Inside the envelope was a contract. The heading made my breath hitch. "Confidential agreement, a life-changing proposition." I looked up at him, confused. "What is this?" He leaned forward, his expression unreadable. "An opportunity, nephew. One that most people could only dream of." I scanned the document. It wasn't just a business deal. It was an invitation into something much bigger. "Sign this, and you will step into a world of power, influence, and wealth beyond imagination. But once you do, there's no turning back." I swallowed hard. My mind raced. This wasn't a simple job offer. It was something deeper. "What exactly will I be doing?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He smirked. "You will be my apprentice. My partner. You will learn the ways of this world. How to control, how to win, how to never bow down to anyone." A chill ran down my spine. "Why me?" I asked, struggling to process everything. "Because I see potential in you. You remind me of myself when I was your age, hungry for success, but unsure where to start." I looked at the contract again. This was everything I had ever wanted: success, financial freedom, power. But it also came with something unspoken, a hidden cost. "And what happens if I refuse?" His smile faded slightly. "Then you walk away, and we never speak of this again." There was no threat in his voice, but something about the way he said it sent a shiver down my spine. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding. I was standing at a crossroads, and my next decision would define my future. Slowly, I picked up the pen. "I'm in," I said, signing my name on the dotted line. Uncle Rayhan's lips curled into a satisfied smile. "Welcome to the real world, nephew." The very next morning, my life changed. A black car arrived at my apartment to pick me up. I was taken to a skyscraper in the heart of the city, an office far grander than I had ever seen. It wasn't just a workplace, it was a fortress of power. Uncle Rayhan was waiting for me in his top-floor office, seated behind a massive desk. "Are you ready for your first test?" he asked. I nodded, though my palms were sweaty. He gestured toward a file on his desk. "Inside this folder is information on a man who has been working against me. Your job is to convince him to step down by any means necessary." I hesitated. "You mean threaten him?" Uncle Rayhan leaned back, watching me carefully. "Persuasion is an art. Sometimes words are enough. Sometimes actions speak louder." I felt a weight settle in my chest. This was more than business. This was power play. I met the man later that evening, a middle-aged executive named Mr. Kareem. He was a competitor, someone who had been standing in my uncle's way. We met in a private lounge. I had rehearsed what to say, But the moment I sat across from him, my nerves kicked in. "I assume your uncle sent you," Kareem said, sipping his coffee. "He did," I admitted. "He wants you to step down." Kareem chuckled, shaking his head. "Your uncle is ruthless. But tell me, do you really want to be like him?" His words hit a nerve. Did I? For years, I had admired Uncle Rayhan's success. But now, sitting here, I realized that power came with shadows, choices that weren't black and white. "I don't have a choice," I said. Kareem leaned in. "There's always a choice, son. The question is, what are you willing to become?" I clenched my fists. I had already signed the contract. There was no turning back. I stood up, placing the file in front of him. "Decide quickly, Mr. Kareem. The clock is ticking." His expression darkened, but he nodded. "Tell your uncle I'll step down." Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. Because the moment I stepped outside, I knew I had just played my first real game of power. And there was no way out now. When I returned to my uncle's office, he was waiting. "Did he agree?" he asked. "Yes," I said. Uncle Rayhan smiled, but there was something calculating in his eyes. "Good. You handled it well. But this is just the beginning." I exhaled. "What's next?" He stood up, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Now, we build your empire." And just like that, my fate was sealed. Conclusion: a journey begins. I had walked into my uncle's house that night as an ordinary man. But now, I was part of a world where power dictated everything. The question was, how far was I willing to go?